Red lights flashed inside the Mars spaceport. Alarms screamed through the steel corridors. People ran, confused, shouting orders that made no sense. Somewhere deep in Bay 12, a young engineer named Leah Voss was alone, working late, unaware that history was about to change. She stood next to a massive engine core, wiping sweat from her brow. The colonization ship Aurora 7 was scheduled to launch in 2 days. Leah had volunteered to lead the final systems check event, though it meant being alone in the docking bay at night. Her headset crackled. "Leah, everything good down there?" came the voice of Central Command. "Just finishing the last diagnostic. Fuel lines are stable. Navigation is online. Looks like we're ready for deep space," she said, smiling. She didn't notice the faint hum building behind her, not from the ship. From something else. Something wrong. Suddenly the lights dimmed. All systems on her tablet blinked red. What the hell? The air around her shifted, like the gravity had changed. Her ears rang. A white flash lit up the bay. It wasn't a normal light. Pulsed, like it was alive. Leah turned around and saw it. A shape. Tall. Silver. Floating. No windows. No markings. No sound. A ship. But not human. She opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came. Her body froze. A beam of pure white light fired from the ship, wrapping around her. Her feet left the floor. She was lifted into the air, still conscious, heart pounding. Her headset fell to the ground, crackling with static. Then she was gone. The ship vanished with her, just blinked out of existence. A full security team arrived only 40 seconds later. Too late, they searched the entire bay. They found no ship, no breach, no intruders. Just Leah's headset on the floor, playing her last words over and over. "Navigation is online, ready for deep space. ... Back on Earth, the emergency message hit global command within minutes. A human taken, no ransom, no message, no warning. A full blackout operation began. The public wasn't told. The mission logs were deleted. Leah Voss was declared missing during a training test flight. But inside a hidden military base beneath the Rocky Mountains, a different story was unfolding. General Mark Renner stared at the footage. He had watched it 17 times. Every time, it made him feel sick. He turned to the people in the dark room with him. "I want total silence on this. No media, no chatter. Whoever took her, they didn't come for war. They came to test us." Someone at the table spoke. "But sir, ... What if it was a mistake? What if Renner slammed his hand down? No one kidnaps a citizen of Earth by mistake." He stood up, walked to the main screen. "We don't even know who they are. We don't know what they want. But I'll tell you what they're going to get." He pointed at the screen, where Leah's frozen face floated mid-beam. "They're going to get fire." 2 days later, in a secret shipyard orbiting Neptune, a squad of silent black cruisers powered up. These weren't public military ships. No markings, no names. Built off record. Paid for by no country. Designed by the best human minds, scientists, mercenaries, rogue engineers. One name united them: Project Echofire. Its commander stood in silence aboard. The lead ship, the Vengeance class, Cruiser Hawk 1, his name, Miles Rayner. He hadn't spoken much in years. Not since the war on Titan. Not since he buried the last person he ever trusted. Until now, his crew watched as he played the abduction video again. "The blink, sir," the pilot said quietly. "We have a full crew. Systems ready. Cloaking at 97%. Can launch on your order." Miles said nothing. He watched the moment again, Leah's face. Just before the light took her. Calm. Brave. He closed his eyes. "She's my sister," he said softly. The room went silent. Miles turned to his crew. His voice was steady, cold, controlled. "We don't know who did this. We don't know what we'll find out there. But this mission is not diplomacy. It's not rescue." He looked at every one of them. It's punishment. The ship engines roared to life as Earth turned slowly in the black void behind them. The Hawk 1 and 6 other ships vanished into deep space, cloaked, silent, untraceable. Their destination? Unknown. Their orders? Classified. Their purpose? Vengeance. Far beyond any human radar. In a system with no name, Leah Voss woke up. She was inside a smooth, glowing chamber. She could feel wires in her back, needles in her arms. A thick fluid covered her legs. She tried to scream, but nothing came out. Outside the chamber stood creatures tall, armored, with eyes that didn't blink. They weren't like anything from Earth's databases. They had no mouths, no faces, just pale, glowing skin and slow, fluid movement. Leah's body shook, but she fought to stay calm. She was trained. She was ready. She remembered what her instructors had said. If you're taken, observe everything. Remember every detail. No fear, no weakness. One of the creatures pressed a glowing panel. Her chamber opened. She dropped to the floor, coughing. A mechanical voice filled the air. Subject 17, human, female, codename First Spark. The voice didn't come from the creatures. It came from above. Leah looked up. A screen flickered on. A shadowy figure appeared. It had many arms, many eyes. It wasn't watching her with interest. It was watching her like a scientist watches. A bug. You are the first, the voice said. Your kind will soon follow. Leah's hands curled into fists. She didn't know. Where she was, she didn't know who these monsters were, but she knew one thing. Earth was coming. And when it did, this place would burn. The room was dark. The lights were low. Deep underground, far from public view, the war room of Global Command had come alive. High-ranking generals, tech analysts, and intelligence officers sat in silence, watching the same 7 seconds of footage. On loop, the abduction of Leah Voss. Each time the screen showed the same thing. The white beam, the alien ship, the disappearance, and then nothing. General Mark Renner stood in the center, arms crossed, face unreadable. His voice cut through the silence. It's been 72 hours. No message, no contact, no trace. Psst. Looked across the table. This wasn't a kidnapping. It was a test. One of the intelligence officers raised his hand. We have a theory. The energy signature at the scene, it's not like anything in our known databases, but it's focused. Like it was made to grab a single person. Renner nodded. They wanted her. Not the ship, not the base, her. A scientist leaned forward. Then we have to assume it's personal, no? Renner said. Strategic. He turned to the digital map hovering over the table, a star chart showing the last known path of the unknown vessel. It took her into the deep black. No comes. No satellites. No law. He tapped the center of the map, and we're going to follow. Renner stepped back as the lights in the war room shifted red. A voice came over the intercom. Project Echo Fire is now active. All Black class clearance. Holders report to command hangars immediately. The room emptied fast. No one spoke. No one asked questions. They all knew war was coming, thousands of kilometers away, in the black silence of space. Hawk 1 was already on the move. Commander Miles Rayner sat in the captain's chair, staring out at a sea of stars. The bridge was quiet. No lights. No sounds except the hum of the engines. The ship was cloaked, nearly invisible, even to its own satellites. Miles watched the stream of data, scrolling across the monitor in front of him. Still no trace of the alien vessel, no signal. No trail, just emptiness. His second in command, Lieutenant Vega, walked over. Sir, Deep Scan just picked up a distortion field near the Roseven cluster. Faint but consistent. Could be the entry point. Miles didn't blink. Plot a course. Move us in slow. Vega hesitated. Sir, Rosevan is Zhar territory. Miles turned to her. They took one of ours. We take back more than one. Back on Earth, a meeting was taking place inside a sealed chamber of the UN Defense Council. Only 6 people were present. They represented no nations. Only Earth. A diplomat with silver hair spoke first. This is an act of war. But declaring war means involving the whole galaxy. That risks exposure, chaos. A woman in a dark suit replied, and if we do nothing, they'll think we're weak. Next time they'll take a city. The debate stopped when General Renner entered the room. He placed a small device on the table. A hologram played a message sent directly from Leah's father, Senator Howard Voss. He spoke calmly, but his voice trembled. My daughter is out there alone. We don't need permission to bring her home. We don't need votes. We need action. The message ended. Renner looked around the room. This isn't about Leah anymore. It's about the message we send next. Silence. Then a quiet agreement. Project. Echo Fire has full authority. No restrictions. The room went dark. Earth had just declared a silent war. Meanwhile, far beyond human space, Leah Voss sat on the cold floor of a cell. Her body hurt. Her arms were sore. Her head was spinning. But she was alive. She wasn't chained. She wasn't drugged. She wasn't even locked and just watched. 4 of the tall, pale creatures stood at the corners of the room. They didn't speak. They didn't move. Leah's eyes moved slowly, studying every detail. The walls were soft, like living metal. The ceiling had no light source, yet glowed with soft, shifting color. Then, the voice came again. It wasn't from a speaker. It was inside her head. You are the key. The proof. Leah stood, trying not to show fear. Where am I? She said, her voice hoarse. You are in the cradle of truth, the voice replied. Why me? The silence stretched. Then, because your kind was supposed to be extinct. Leah blinked. What? You were the forgotten species? The failed flame? But you returned. Too early. Too fast. And you burn. She clenched her fists. If you're afraid of us, you should be. There was a pause, then laughter. Not loud. Not human. Dry. Hollow. Not fear. Curiosity. You have no unity. No single mind. Yet you build. You destroy. You adapt. Another pause. You are chaos. And chaos must be studied. Then silence again. Leah sat back down, but her mind was racing. They didn't take her to hurt her. Not yet. They wanted to understand, and that was their mistake. Because understanding humans always leads to fear, and fear leads to war. Back. On Hawk 1. Miles Rayner stood in the war room of the ship. A map of the Zhar Dominion flickered in front of him. Vega entered. We've crossed into the edge of Zhar space. No alarms yet. Miles didn't look up. What's the closest outpost? Dead moon, no atmosphere. One come relay, probably automated. Should be empty. Good, he said, because we're going to take it. Vega frowned. Why? There's nothing there. Miles finally looked at her. They didn't leave. A trail. So we're going to make noise until they come to shut us up. She nodded slowly. And when they do, he smiled. We follow them home. The next day, a small Zar-cum relay on a lifeless rock spun quietly in space. Then suddenly, a shockwave hit it. The structure exploded. From behind a nearby asteroid, Hawk 1 decloaked just long enough to send a single encrypted message. In human language, we are coming. Then it vanished again. The bait was set. Miles stood on the bridge. She's out there? I can feel it. He turned to his crew. They took one of ours. They thought we'd beg. He raised his voice. They thought Earth would do nothing. He stepped forward. But we're not here to beg. We're here to break. The crew nodded, silent, focused, deadly. The hunt had begun. And Earth was no longer silent. Leah Voss had been counting seconds. She didn't know how many days had passed. There were no clocks in her cell. No windows. Only light that never dimmed, and creatures that never spoke. But every time her food came, every time the strange humming grew louder, she marked it with a small scratch behind her bed. 23 scratches now. Her back ached. Her arms were weak. Her thoughts were not. She had stopped being afraid now. She was planning. That morning, 2 Zhar entered. These were different, not guards. Their bodies were leaner, their arms longer. Scientists, One held a long silver tube. The other carried a flat device that glowed when pointed at her. They said nothing. They simply approached. Leah didn't move. She had learned to wait. The taller one reached toward her neck. That was their mistake. In one smooth move, Leah grabbed the scientist's wrist, twisted hard, and drove her elbow into the alien's throat. It staggered back. The other raised its. Too slow, Leah kicked the creature in the leg, knocking it over, then grabbed the glowing tablet. She didn't know what it was, but it looked important. The cell door hissed open, automatic and unguarded. She ran. Alarms screamed. Lights flashed. The hallway stretched in both directions, long and metallic. Pipes ran overhead. Doors every 20 meters. She took the left. Behind her, metal footsteps echoed. She ran faster. A sudden turn. Another hallway. Then a stairwell. More mode. She ducked inside and kept climbing. 2 more levels up. She paused, breathing. Hard, a massive window stared back at her. She looked through it and froze outside the station. Far below floated a massive world of black clouds and burning storms. A gas giant cracked with veins of lightning. Orbiting it were 3 moons. Glowing dim red, she wasn't anywhere near Earth, not even close. This was Zhar space, and she was deep in the heart of it, far away. Aboard Hawk 1, Commander Miles Rayner stood before his crew in silence. Say again? Lieutenant Vega looked at the signal logs. It's faint, but it's human. Encrypted burst pattern. It's just 3 words. She turned the monitor. The message blinked. I am alive. Miles didn't speak. He stared at the screen as if burning it into memory. When? 7 minutes ago. Vega replied. Before it cut off, we tracked it to the orbital range of Zhar's outer science sector. Not a military zone. Some kind of research base. Miles smiled. They really didn't expect us to follow. He pointed to the map. The dropships. This time we're not cloaked. We go loud. Back inside the Zhar station, Leah kept moving. She had found a hallway with clear writing strange symbols, but a few matched what she saw on the scientist's tablets. She followed the ones, the red markings. The facility was starting to shake. Alarms got louder. Now for the first time. She heard voices are shouting orders in a language that sounded like metal grinding. She ducked into a maintenance shaft and crawled. When she emerged, she found something she didn't expect. Another prisoner. He wasn't human. A small, dark-skinned alien with long arms and glowing yellow eyes sat inside a cube-shaped cell. Looked at her with surprise. You're not Zhar, he said, speaking. In broken human English, Leah stared. You speak English? He nodded. Used to trade with Terrans. Before war. Before they took me. She stepped closer. How long have you been here? Leon tilted his head. Long time. Many cycles. But you are different. She looked around. Where's the control panel? He pointed with a long finger. That one. Red glow. She slammed her stolen tablet against the panel. The door opened. The alien stepped out carefully. Free me? Why? Because I'm not leaving alone. They moved fast together. Leah now had a plan, someone to help her. The alien's name was Kesh. He knew the layout of the station better than she did. Lab sector up ahead. Has communication. Relay. If you send signal, Earth might hear. She nodded. They turned the corner and ran straight into it. Zargard. It raised a weapon. Leah didn't wait. She tackled the alien to the floor as Kesh grabbed the weapon and fired. Pulse of blue energy blasted the wall, barely missing them. Both, they finished the fight quickly. Now armed, Leah and Kesh ran toward the relay. She sent the signal, encrypted. Tight beam buried in noise. Only someone listening for her could hear it. 5 minutes later, the Zhar command ship above the station detected something strange. Unidentified vessels. Human class. Stealth. Origin now decloaked. 6 of them, weapons. Armed dropships launched. The Zhar commander issued a warning to his fleet. Prepare for impact. The Hawk 1 dropped out of orbit and opened fire. Explosions tore through the sky. Inside the station, walls shook. Pipes burst. Fires spread. Station wasn't built for combat. It was supposed to be hidden. Not anymore. Leah and Kesh reached the launch bay just as dropships slammed into the station walls. Armored humans stormed in blasters ready. Leah ran straight into the lead team. Her hair soaked with sweat, face burned from smoke. One of the soldiers froze. Voss. She nodded. Then someone behind the soldiers pushed forward. Tall. Silent, it was Miles' brother. And sister stared at each other. Then Leah walked forward and punched him in the shoulder. You took long enough. He almost smiled. Next. Time, stay on Mars. She hugged him quick tight. Then the floor cracked beneath them. An explosion rocked the entire structure. Miles looked to the pilot. Back to the ship. Now. As Hawk 1 lifted away from the burning station, Leah sat in the med bay, bruised and silent. Miles entered. He pulled up a chair beside her. I thought I lost you. She didn't look up. They were studying us, she whispered. Not because. We're strong because we scare them. Miles raised an eyebrow. Why would we scare them? Because we don't follow their rules, she said. We don't unite. We don't submit. But we still survive. Fight back. Miles stood. Then it's time we show the galaxy what a real fight looks like. He left the room. Leah looked out the window at the stars. Earth was awake now, and someone was going to pay. Leah Voss gripped the edge of the table in the war room of Hawk 1. Her face was pale, but her eyes burned with purpose. Around her, the senior officers studied a projection of the Zhar Empire's outer colonies. They didn't just study me. She said they scanned my DNA, my memories, my pain. They weren't looking for weaknesses. They were looking for proof. Proof of what? Asked Lieutenant Vega. Leah looked straight at her brother, Commander Miles Rayner. They believe humans are a threat to the balance of the galaxy, a species that spreads chaos. They called me the first spark. Silence, then Miles stepped forward. Then let's give them a fire they'll never forget. He pointed to a red moon on the map. Target, Eros Prime, a Zhar research colony. Minimal defenses. High-ranking personnel. If we take it, we send a message. One of the officers looked uneasy. It's her. That's not a military target. No, Miles said. It's a symbol, just like Leah was. They wanted a test subject. They got one. No. They'll see what happens when Earth answers back. 20 hours later, 6 human ships dropped out of hyperspace above Eros Prime. Zhar scanners didn't even register the approach until it was too late. The colony's sky turned white as Earth's fleet opened fire. Orbital defense satellites shattered. Communication. Towers burst into flame. On the surface, Zhar scientists scrambled to escape. Panic spread. Their systems weren't built for Warrenly control. From Hawk 1. Miles watched the chaos unfold. Deploy drop teams, he ordered. Secure all labs. Upload everything. Then wipe the grid. Leah stood beside him, now dressed in a gray-black combat uniform. She wasn't here to watch. I'm going down with Echo Squad. Miles didn't stop her. He just said, don't get captured again. She smiled. Don't plan on it. As dropships pierced the red atmosphere of Eros Prime, Zhar patrols tried to respond, but they were disorganized, panicked. The humans moved with precision. Leah and Echo Squad landed at the Central Facility 30. Stories of glass and crystal, shaped like a spire. They stormed the entrance. Inside, Zhar workers fled. Leah moved with purpose. Room to room, corridor to corridor. She wasn't searching for revenge. She was searching for something else, evidence, in the deepest chamber. They found it, a server core humming with heat, and a single word written in Galactic Standard. On the screen, Spark-17, double quotes, that's me. Leah whispered. She inserted the decryption tool the Hawk 1 engineers had given her. Data began downloading. The files were filled with images, her face, her heart rate. Her thoughts, but not just hers. More humans. Captured. Before her. Experimented on. Dissected. Erased, she stared at the list of names. No. One on Earth knew. Her hands tightened into fists. She looked at Echo Squad. Blow it all. In orbit, Miles received. The signal. The core was copied. The base was rigged. He gave the final order. Glass it. High above Eros Prime, Earth's fleet released their newest weapon, K9 wave bombs, low-yield plasma detonators. Designed to melt tech but spare biological life, blue fire fell from the sky. The spire exploded. Every Zhar inside the colony watched. Their empire's silent shatter. No one died, but every record they ever made was gone. The next day, a message was broadcast from Earth Command across deep space. It played on every Zhar frequency. A human voice. Calm. Unforgiving. We didn't start this. You did. You took one of ours. You hurt her. You watched. Now we're watching you. Every lab, every ship, every colony. You wanted fear? You got it. The message ended with 3 words in Zhar script. Never again. On the bridge of Hawk 1, Leah stood beside Miles, staring out at the stars. We showed them, she said softly. Miles shook his head. No, that was just the first match. The fire's only beginning. Behind them, crew members worked quickly. Data from the raid was being decrypted: names, locations, secret research zones. Leah spotted one file glowing red on the main screen. What's that? She asked. Vega turned to her. A secret site deeper in Zhar space. Unmarked. High priority. No translation for the name. Just coordinates ... in one human word. Leah's heart froze. What word? Vega zoomed in on the screen. Earthborn. Miles leaned forward. They've got more. Leah stared into the dark beyond the stars. Then she whispered, then we're not done. And somewhere far away, deep in the Zhar core systems, alarms began to sound again. Because the humans were coming, and they weren't hiding anymore. The council chamber of the Zhar Empire was silent. Massive pillars lined the circular room. Dozens of high-ranking Zhars stood in robes of silver and bone, their faces hidden behind glowing masks. At the center, the throne of the Zhar Overmind hovered above a shimmering platform. For thousands of years, the Zhar had ruled through fear, but now they were afraid. A recording played on the center screen, taken from Eros Prime just before. The human fleet destroyed the colony. The human voice rang out again. You wanted fear? You got it? Silence followed. Then the Overmind spoke, its voice cold, metallic, without emotion. Earth has become unstable. We must erase them before others follow their path. One of the Zhar elders stepped forward slowly, but they are not like the others. Their anger gives them strength. We studied this. If we kill more, they won't break. They will burn, the Overmind responded. Then let them burn. Back aboard Hawk 1, the war room buzzed with activity. Leah stood beside Miles, watching the decrypted Zhar data on the holographic screen. They had uncovered over a dozen secret facilities, places where humans had been taken, tested, and erased. Worse, some were still active. One file in particular had caught their attention. A black site buried in the core of the Zhar Empire. Location: Varnak 12. Hidden inside a dead star. Unreachable by most ships, but not by echofire. This is the place, Leah said. If we hit this, we don't just get revenge. We tear out their heart. Miles nodded. Prep the fleet. We go dark. Lieutenant Vega raised a hand. Sir, there's one thing. Zhar know we're coming. They've started pulling in. Fleets, if we push forward, we're at war with their entire empire. Miles looked around the room. I think we're already there. 3 hours later, deep in open space, secret broadcast was sent to every major species in the galaxy. It didn't come from the Zhar. It came from Earth, General. Right. Mark Renner stood before a single camera in Earth's command bunker. This is a message to every species that calls itself civilized. He paused, looked straight ahead. You have watched us bleed. You have watched us scream. You have watched us be taken. Now you will watch us stand. Behind him, screens showed destroyed Zhar facilities, human survivors, names of the missing. We will not ask for help. We will not beg for peace. But if you stand in our way, if you side with the ones who steal our people, he stared into the camera, then we will burn your sky too. The message went viral across intergalactic networks. Some alien races panicked. Others watched with quiet respect, and Afuthos who had suffered in silence sent Earth a single message: we are with you. Inside the mess hall of Hawk 1, Leah sat with Kesha, alien prisoner she had freed during her escape. He sipped slowly from a warm mug of water. They never expected you to survive, he said. They didn't know who they were dealing with. Leah replied, you have something the Zhar fear, Kesh said. You adapt, you feel, but you never stop. She looked at him.
Ah!
Are there more like you? Others they've taken? He nodded. Thousands. Leah's eyes narrowed. Then, we'll break every cage. Meanwhile, Zhar fleets mobilized. Hundreds of warships moved toward the core systems. Forming a wall around Varnak 12, they prepared to face Earth's fleet. But what they didn't know was Earth's fleet had already passed them, using a hidden jump gate inside an asteroid field. Hawk 1 and 3 advanced warships dropped into the system undetected. They approached Varnak 12 silent, cloaked and ready to strike. Leah looked through the glass at the dead star. It pulsed slowly, like a heart. Around it floated a single black station. This is it, she whispered. Miles looked at her. You ready? She nodded. Let's bring the fire. The dropships launched. Leah, Miles, and an elite strike team stormed the Zhar base from above. They moved fast-cutting through guards, disabling shields, planting explosives. They reached the main core. Inside were dozens of stasis chambers, humans, aliens, even children floating in sleep. Leah stared, frozen. This is a genocide lab, she whispered. A loud metallic screech rang out. A massive Zhar brute stepped into the room. Its armor was glowing. Its voice echoed through the metal walls. You are not welcome here. Miles raised his weapon. Good. We didn't come for tea. The firefight was brutal. But the humans didn't back down. They never did. And when the last Zhar guard fell, Leia opened the chambers. One by one, the prisoners dropped into her arms. They were alive, weak, but breathing. As alarms rang across the station, Miles activated the final charge. Let's finish this. Back on Hawk 1, as the rescued prisoners were brought aboard, Leah stood by the viewing window. The Zhar station burned behind them, swallowed by the dying star. She didn't cheer, she didn't smile. She just whispered that was for all of them.
Alice
Joined her. They'll hit back harder next time. I hope they do, Leah said, because now we're ready. And deep in Zhar space, the Overmind watched the footage of its destroyed station. It whispered to itself, they are becoming something else. And for the first time in centuries, the Zhar were afraid. The stars over the Zhar homeworld were beginning to fade. At the edge of the system, satellites flickered. Something was interfering with them. Static bled into their screens. Alerts blinked. Red, yellow, then black dot inside the high command tower. Of Zhar Prime, the Overmind stood silent in its throne. Its generals gathered in panic. The Terrans are not retreating. They've breached the border worlds. They're dismantling our listening post system by system. The Overmind did not respond. It simply watched. A new feed appeared on the screen. Above them all, Earth's fleet, larger than before, more advanced, moving fast and heading straight for them. Aboard Hawk 1. The main war room glowed with quiet intensity. Leah stood in her combat armor, helmet under one arm, eyes locked on the map. The Zhar homeworld floated at the center of the screen, surrounded by defense rings, fleet clusters, and energy shields. Miles Rayner, standing beside her, looked more focused than ever. This is it, he said. One shot, one planet, one message. Vega leaned in. Zhar Prime is shielded by 3 orbital layers. If we hit too early, we'll bounce off and expose the fleet. Leah stepped forward. Then we go underneath. She tapped the planet's southern pole. This sector is weak. Old lava tunnels run beneath the surface. We breach through them and detonate from inside. We bring down their shield grid. It's suicide, Vega said. Leah shrugged. Only if we fail. Miles looked at the room. Earth didn't start this war. But we're going to end it, right here, he pointed. At the planet, no more warnings. No more messages this time. We make them listen. The assault began. Hawk 1 and its support ships charged the Zhar, its perimeter at full speed, drawing the main fleet away from the southern pole. At the same time, Special Ops unit led by Leah dropped in below the radar, entering the volcanic sea tunnels beneath the surface. Inside, the heat was unbearable. The walls pulsed with geothermal energy. Their boots sank into red dust as the tunnels narrowed and twisted. Leah pushed forward. Her pulse was steady. Her breath controlled. They reached the shield anchor massive. Ancient, humming with power, KSSH, now part of the team, pulled out the pulse charge. This is old tech, he said. Strong but flawed. Leah nodded. Good, let's break. As the team set explosives, Zhar forces closed in behind them. Fire rained down from above, but the humans didn't stop. Not this time. In orbit, Miles watched the clock. Ground team status. No contact, Vega said. Signal jammed. Hold. The line. Outside the ship, space turned into fire. Zhar dreadnoughts launched plasma storms toward Hawk 1. But Earth's fleet didn't break. They were outnumbered. But not OU-10 a TCHED. Every shot they fired was precise. Every move practiced. Human ships wove between enemy lines like predators. Still, the pressure mounted. We need that shield down, Al said. And just then, the signal returned. Boom, the southern hemisphere of Zhar. Prime lit up in a sudden burst of blue fire. The shield grid flickered, then died. All shields offline. Vega shouted. Miles stood. All ships. Full strike. Earth's fleet descended like falling stars. Cruisers, drones, bombers, dropships. The Zhar capital burned as orbital blasts ripped through the ground. Communication towers collapsed. Factories exploded. Command centers vanished. The Overmind watched as its cities were wiped away in seconds. Its generals begged for escape, but there was nowhere left to go. Earth had surrounded the system. On the surface, Leah and her team emerged from the tunnels, covered in dust. Bleeding but alive, Zhar soldiers stood in their way, shocked to see her. She didn't speak. She raised her rifle. The last defenders fell. Behind her, Kesh planted the Earth flag in the blackened soil. Leah stared up at the sky, where Earth's ships blotted out the stars. It was over. The Empire had fallen. Back aboard Hawk 1, silence returned to the bridge. Everyone stared at the planet below. Smoke. Fire. Silence. Miles exhaled. Status of the Overmind. Dead or missing, Vega said. Zhar, command is offline. Every colony has gone dark. Leah entered the room. She was limping. Miles looked at her. You did it? No, she said. We did. She walked to the console and pressed a button. Open. Channel. A quiet tone played. Then silence. This is Leah Voss of Earth. If you can hear this, the war is over. She paused. To the ones still in hiding, we're coming to bring you home. To the ones still fighting, drop your weapons. It's done. She looked at the screen, where the burning planet flickered in orange and black. To the ones who caused this, you called us chaos. She narrowed her eyes. You were right. Ended the transmission. Elsewhere in the galaxy, species that had feared Earth now watched in awe. The Zhar had ruled for thousands of years. Now they were ashes, and Earth, young, wild, and full of rage, had done what no one else dared. They had stood alone and won. The halls of the Galactic Council had never been this quiet. From 100 worlds, leaders had gathered each, seated in tall, curved thrones of glass, stone, or living metal. The chamber itself floated in orbit over a neutral moon, glowing with ceremonial lights. But today, the lights were dim. In the seat at the center, The one meant for the Zhar was empty. In its place stood a single Terran. Leah. Os. Her uniform was clean. Her hair was tied back. Her eyes steady. Behind her a display hovered silent footage of burning cities. Ruined labs, and the face of the Overmind, now lifeless. When she spoke, her voice was calm. We asked for peace. You turned away. She paced slowly, letting each word land. You watched the Zhar take our people? You said nothing. Her eyes scanned the silent chamber. Some of you even helped them. She stopped. We didn't ask for power, asked for justice. One of the counselors, a crystalline being from the virulent system, finally spoke. You destroyed an empire. Leah nodded. They destroyed themselves. Another voice. What happens now? Will Earth demand tribute? Territory? She shook. Her head. We don't want tribute. We don't want thrones. She looked directly at the main counselor. We want a promise. One that every species here will sign. A new screen flickered on Earth's proposed law. Nitrogen monoxide being shall be taken. World shall vanish in silence. No war shall begin with. A whisper, the room remained still. Then one by one the counselor stood and nodded. The law was accepted. Leah's voice softened. If it happens again, Earth will return. She turned. And next time, we won't stop at one empire. 3 weeks later, aboard Hawk 1, Leah stood at the viewing window. Earth was visible below, low blue. Alive, free. Beside her, Commander Miles Rayner watched the horizon. You sure you don't want to stay? He asked. There's more out there, she replied. More survivors, more secrets. We have work to do. He smiled slightly. You're becoming the symbol they feared, she said. I'm just the first. Spark. Across the galaxy. Echoes of Earth's victory spread. Oppressed species rose up. Former Zhar colonies broke their chains. A new fleet of Earth-built ships, bearing the Echo Fire insignia, patrolled the edges of deep space, not to conquer, but to protect, and in hidden places. Those who once ruled began to whisper a new name with fear. Humanity, the unpredictable, the unbroken, the defenders. And as stars turned and planets shifted, one simple truth remained. They took one human prisoner. Earth answered with fire, and the galaxy would never forget it.